Faster my good evening. I'm Alex Watton and welcome to Living with Dementia. And living with dementia isn't just about having dementia, but supporting those with it and helping the people caring for those with dementia. And what I mean by that is this.
I can't think about the future. No, I just don't think about it. It's too much to think about. Life is already a roller coaster. Some days, every day is a roller coaster. But then for every down, there's an up, as well as for every up, there's a down. That's what I tell myself when there's a down. So, no, we're just living for now. That's all you can do. But at least I have got to that place where we can live for now. So that's a good thing.
Nicky Merritt doesn't have dementia, but her husband does. He has Alzheimer's. And for 5 years, she's gone from newly qualified advocate to his predominant carer.
I suppose when I noticed the signs in my husband that weren't normal and didn't look like anything else, which was back in 2013, it was a bit of a weird time, to be honest.
Everyone says there are those telltale signs, but how do you differentiate them for, other things that they might be? Because, of course, some of them might just be not quite remembering something that you normally do, which sometimes we all do, don't we?
Yeah. It's those ordinary things that we all do, like walking into a room and don't know why you're there, that are become more prevalent. I found with my husband, and his dementia is Alzheimer's, so it might not be for others' dementias, that his characteristics became sort of more exaggerated. So where he might sulk about something, he would go into a sort of much bigger sulk. And those are the early signs that you couldn't tell with dementia, really, because a lot of the early signs look like stress and depression, and forgetfulness certainly can be caused by all sorts of things. So that wasn't an immediate thought. But I think the differences were when he was starting to have trouble doing things. It's the cognitive functioning problems that people have. And that's what people often who don't know anything about dementia don't realise about Alzheimer's, is it's not just about memory, and certainly for some dementias, it's not even memory to start with. With my husband, certainly it was a combination. And during 2013, he'd do odd things like the hand towel kept disappearing and I'd find it folded somewhere. He kept folding things. That was just a bit weird, and then things started appearing in the wrong place and he started to not be able to find the right word, which when I said this to other people, they go, oh yes, it was you doing that. Because he used to say the word thing quite often for, mundane objects like a knife or something. He'd say, oh, pass me the thing. But this is a man who spoke many languages and whose vocabulary in English was far greater than most people's. He had a huge vocabulary. So to not be able to find the words generally in ordinary conversation was odd. And sometimes he didn't notice he was doing it. He was doing what I now know is called circumlocuting. So, for example, we're looking at the fern there in my garden. Instead of saying, oh, look at that's lovely and green, he'd go, oh, you see that thing there with the sort of the leaves and it's all sort of feathery. He'd find ways round it.
That feeling of seeing that happen and not really knowing quite what it was yet, how did you deal with that? And what emotions went through your mind, I suppose?
Oh gosh, well, it was a really, really bad time. I remember spending most of my birthday in the October crying when I got back from work because he just wasn't normal, and because it's a very strange place to be when you can see something terrible happening but you don't know what, and when you do start to fear the worst, you think, it can't be. And other people, of course, there's a laugh going, oh, he hasn't got Alzheimer's, Nicky, he's far too young. Oh yeah, right, okay. It was difficult, and it's been very difficult emotionally for some years. Because, a good couple of years before the signs were showing as well, he was becoming increasingly difficult to live with. It was very difficult for our teenage daughters at the time. Her relationship with her dad was really bad, and we didn't know why, obviously. I mean, that's I'll say it's the hardest part. That's not true. It's just as hard, but in a different way, when things are happening and you don't know why, because he could have been suffering from a deep depression. In 2012, when I challenged him about it, he did think he was depressed. So just the ongoing darkness, and then when somebody turns around to you and says, yes, he does have dementia, it's just, I didn't want to hear it. I knew it, really, because there was no other explanation, and by the time we started seeing the doctors, I was looking at the internet, which I'd avoided previously, so I knew, but I didn't want to know, and having that validation, it was, I mean, I've done a lot of crying in the last several years, as you can probably imagine.
The current figure we've got is 1,300 people with dementia on the island.
Graham Bell is the services manager at the Alzheimer's Society.
Our aim, our objective is to provide services, support and information for every person with dementia if that's what they want. And we put various things in place to try and achieve that. We're currently providing or have provided support for over 450 people out of the 1,300.
Being part of the Alzheimer's Society, I'm sure you come across people all the time with various stories and journeys of their own dementia and Alzheimer's. Do you have any personal experience of the condition?
Other than my work, no, I don't. I've been very fortunate. My family doesn't seem to have any history of dementia in it at all. So it's something I've come to. I began working for the Alzheimer's Society about 5 years ago, and yeah, it's been a journey of revelations for me as well.
What is the biggest revelation you think you've come across?
How much you can do to make people's lives better. That's a real revelation. How you can, the small things that can be done just can really make a big difference. And having spoken to lots and lots of people with dementia, if you can break through the barriers that dementia brings, the really interesting stories that people have, and quite frequently their memories of past events from their childhood and from their youth are much, much sharper than mine are. And it's almost like the condition brings that focus to some of the older memories. You know, they've got problems with their short-term memories. But if you get past that, if you go along to the singing groups, if you do reminiscence stuff with people and get them talking about their past memories, it's really interesting. And social, you get a sort of real social history of how things used to be on the Isle of Man, you know, all the different cinemas and places where people used to go for dancing and drinks, and you know, you get all of those stories, and it's a real pleasure.
I hate to leave you, but I really must say, oh, good night, sweetheart, good night.
Music is a vital, I think. I actually partly gave up on another radio station recently. There was too much talking, partly because of the politics and partly because I knew we needed more music. I mean, we have Spotify, we listen to a lot of discs and things anyway, but one thing the radio does as well is it introduces you also to new music. So it's not just old music. New music is also good because then the brain's relearning. I don't know if you saw the programme about the dementia choir. Yeah, it was just fantastic. And those were people learning, I mean, they knew the tune, but they were learning the words, and they struggled, but they could do it with help.
Who are you thinking about with the song?
Just my family.
Yeah, me
My
too.
family. Yeah.
Anyone specific?
My mum and dad, you know, and my girls.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of others.
They stand by you, right?
Yeah, my family does, yeah.
Stand by me.
And certainly my husband, some of the bands we've got into in the last few years, he knows the songs now, he knows the choruses, so it's not just the old stuff that brings memories, and it really is true that people with apparently even quite advanced dementia, while they may not be able to speak, they will remember a song and sing along to a song. It really is a truly powerful thing.
Did that come as a surprise to you at all?
Not really a surprise, because I think that's the sort of thing that's talked about as well, music. And also music was always important to my husband. You know, when we met, I mean, he introduced me to the Smiths and that sort of world. That was our era.
Take me out tonight, where there's music and there's people and the young and the light.
How many different things go through your mind in terms of how it will affect your life, but your partner's life, and of course your children's lives?
I suppose the first thing is the shock, like it would be with any sort of bereavement or diagnosis of a terminal illness when you're not expecting it, is what you've been robbed of, and you're not going to have the years ahead that you thought you were going to have, and you're not going to have that retirement when the kids have grown up and you go off on your own and you do these things. And I'm really sorry for the girls. The younger daughter was only in she was the first year of sixth form at the time, so she was at home, and I had to explain to her. I had to tell my older daughter over Facebook. She was at university and she was studying nursing at the time. I think the changing role has probably been the hardest part, if I'm honest. That's become more obvious over this last winter, which I was explaining to someone the other day. Last year I was really pleased with myself because I thought I'd got used to the idea. You know, I'd had 4 years. I'd accepted it now, because it takes a while to accept. It takes some years. And I thought I was doing okay. I didn't have any major meltdowns. That was fine. And then over the winter, I think the relationship between us has changed so much. He doesn't see me anymore. He doesn't understand who I am. He knows he needs me. I think sometimes he knows he loves me, but I don't think he knows what that means anymore. And this is a man who was my soulmate and would have laid down his life for me and me for him. And I still will, and I will do everything I can because I still love him. But he doesn't, I suppose he still loves me, but he doesn't love me in the way he used to. That's the hardest thing, really.
How much do you think about the man that he used to be?
As little as I can, because it's quite painful. Although we did recently go through a lot of stuff in the loft, and I found my diary from the year we met, which was extraordinary. I mean, it was wonderful and really sad in almost an equal measure, but it was good. It is good to remember, though, sometimes. And, you know, when we look at the photos of, you know, the holidays we had with the girls and so on, he enjoys that, and I remember that. And sometimes, I mean, if you're not having a good day, it's painful, but it's often quite nice to look back. So it's both, but you have to do it. It's really important for them, and it's important for you too.
You're listening to Living with Dementia with me, Alex Watton, and still to come we hear more about what we can do to support carers, and we hear about a special conference on the island next week. First though, let's hear more from Nicky's story. We're sitting in your beautiful garden and you're holding a cup of tea with a Lion King mug that says Hakuna Matata on it, and I can't help but think the phrase, which of course is famously means no worries. Have you had to change your outlook about life, about how you live your life?
I probably hadn't changed it. I suppose I have changed it without thinking, in a way. I don't think you're particularly conscious of it. I have just had the opportunity. My older daughter's home at the moment, so I had a respite weekend, or I went up to do a rest and relaxation yoga weekend at Bright Life, and I was that's been a revelation, because people tell you to take care of yourself and people tell you all these things as a carer, but you don't get it when you're caring. You become very subsumed in it, and as the dementia progresses, you as a carer become more and more tunneled visioned and less able to deal with your own emotions, less able to be yourself. I mean, this weekend, I'm not joking, that's the first time I've been myself for years and years, I think. And what I wanted to say in this interview as well, I really would like to encourage people who are listening, who might know somebody either in this situation or a similar situation, even if it's not dementia. If you want to help people and you genuinely mean, give me a shout and I'll come and help, or let me help you, please don't just make that offer. The offer has to be more proactive, because what happens when you're caring is you don't know how to ask for that. When you get to a point, you don't know how to ask for help. And sometimes you don't know if people are really genuine or not. I'm not sure that's my case. I think I know when people are genuine. But it's when people have said, I'll come down and I'll take him out for a walk so you can have a couple of hours to yourself. Or if there's a couple of you, one can sit with the person with dementia while they watch their football or whatever it is, and take that person out for a cup of tea, or say, when's your next hair appointment? Oh, I'll come around and sit with Fred. Those sort of proactive things are the things that encourage carers to start trying to look after themselves.
Dementia Action Week took place this year on the 20th to the 26th of May, and at that time the Alzheimer Society in the UK made this short film.
Hello. Hello.
Give me 5.
How old are you?
I'm 60, I think.
Do you sometimes do silly things?
I put milk in the washing machine.
Do you still go out on dates?
On dates? No, I go to buy dates, but...
Left the house without any trousers. And
What was you like when you was a teenager?
sometimes I was good, sometimes I wasn't. I had a lot of boyfriends.
Can you still kiss people when you had Alzheimer's?
Yes.
Did you dye your hair pink because you have dementia?
That's a very good question.
I love your hair. Do you know how babies are made? Who looks after you?
My wife, Vivian, the boss.
Do you ever get lonely?
Yes, I do. Very, very lonely. I'm on my own now, so I have to make the best of it.
I know that one day I'm going to wake up and not know who anyone is.
Do you have any life advice for me?
My advice would be,
Have you forgotten?
I have, yes.
Make sure you tell the people that you love them.
Treat every moment as though it's your last.
Stay away from boys.
It was nice talking to you.
Generally speaking, people come along to our sessions unwillingly.
Graham Bell again from the Alzheimer Society.
People don't necessarily, first time they hear that we're providing services, maybe there's that old-fashioned idea of charity, but it's not like that. I look on the way we provide our services, the way we're funded, which is entirely through voluntary donations from predominantly the Manx public. It's almost like an insurance policy. It's like the nation is putting that money to one side for the people that are unlucky in the lottery of life and get dementia, so the money's there to be provided with services. And that's what we try and do. We try and provide as much support, services, and try and make people's lives as good as possible for as long as possible.
When the night has come and the land is dark and the moon is the only light we see.
What about those times when you do feel like there's no way out? You're really struggling, you're really down. What can you do
I think the main thing is to recognise it and know that you need help. And you have to ask for that help. When I was at my lowest, I was advised to tell my closest family and my best friends, the people who loved me best. And that was good, because they wanted to know, because, you know, they still love us and care for us. And when they know how things when things are really bad, they will step up, and they will understand when you say, I need help.
So darling, darling, stand by me. Ooh, stand by me. Hey, yes, stand by me. Stand by me. Stand by me.
Moving on slightly, I suppose, to the caring side of it, because that's something you've taken on. You're his predominant carer, so that's changed your life in a dramatic way, hasn't it?
Yes, it has. I only qualified as a Manx advocate at the beginning of 2011. That was bad timing, wasn't it? And I've managed to work on and off and increasingly at home. The firm's been fantastic, but I can't do it anymore. He's full time. And I can't do it either. It's very difficult to sort of tear yourself in two all the time and feel that you're doing both jobs properly. So yeah, I have had to give up my career, at least for the time being. I mean, I'll probably have to go back to, I'll go back to work in some capacity later on. But that was tough. I worked really hard for my change of career, and this is a job, of course, that you don't choose. It's thrust upon you. And you have to try and work out how to do it. And it's different for everybody, because everybody's dementia is so different. And one of the hardest things, I mean, there's so many hard things about caring, but one of them is that you can't plan anything, because you don't know what's going to happen next. What will he not be able to do tomorrow that he's been able to do for the last 5 years? You know, it's really difficult to tell. And it's, like I say, it's just different with everyone, and so you can't say, well, this will be the projection. And he used to ask, he doesn't ask anymore, how long he had to live. Just nobody's any idea, literally no any idea, or how long we've got at home together. It's impossible to say, which makes it quite difficult. And yes, I have had to give up a lot, but he's my life, so I do it, I would say, willingly. That's a bit, I think I'm quite a selfish person, so I wouldn't say I've done it willingly, but I wouldn't have it any other way.
Darling, darling, stand by me. Stand by me. Ooh. Stand by me. Stand by me. Stand by me. Stand by me.
Now, what about that special conference I was telling you about? Let's head again to Graham Bell from the Alzheimer Society, who can tell us more.
It's a dementia conference. It's at the Comis Hotel and Golf Resort. I think everyone will know that as Mount Murray. On the 25th of June, obviously this year. And we've got lots of people coming to speak, both local, about local initiatives and ideas, as well as people that have done research on behalf of the Alzheimer Society and funded by the Alzheimer Society from the UK. So yeah, lots of people coming, lots of things that are going to be of immense interest for people who provide care, support and services for people with dementia on the island. It's not happened for any specific reason other than the fact that we haven't had a conference for about 3 years. The last one was well attended. People came, they got a massive amount from the conference. There are other issues that have come up since, and it's a good opportunity for people that maybe want to raise money for us to see where the research money is spent. So if they give money and it goes for research, that's where it's provided. Or, you know, if the money is given to run local services on the island, we can tell people about what type of services that we provide locally on the island, how people could be supported. And there's also, lots of interesting research stuff. We've got professors and doctors coming over from the UK talking about palliative end-of-life care for people with dementia, how to prevent falls, how you can put a sleep program in place to enable people to sleep properly so you don't get some of the challenging behaviours that can develop. And also things like the hospital liaison that's being provided locally, and about integrated care on the island, which I think is what you were talking about as well. So there's something for everybody. It's a really rare opportunity. These things don't happen on the island very often. And it's an opportunity for people to network and to speak to people that are actually making the decisions, who are providing the services, and it's just great for everyone. And if it makes us ultimately work closer together, that's really what we want to come out of it, so that everyone's aware of what everybody else is doing, best practice is shared, and we go forward providing for the best service that can possibly be provided for people affected by dementia.
Thank you for listening to Living with Dementia. If you want to listen again or on demand, you can find this as a podcast at manxradio.com. For now, though, if you'd like any more information, please call us and we'll do what we can to point you in the right direction. Thanks again and have a very good evening.
I'll keep a light on to call